Hello, everyone. This is Nikki Estes at South Arts, and I want to welcome you to the webinar for resources for dance presenting. Also, I'd like to let you know that today's webinar is being recorded. Next slide. This afternoon, we hope that you will discover new ways to support your work as a dance presenter, or perhaps begin to present dance if you haven't in the past. After the introductions, I will provide a very brief overview of South Arts, and then you will hear from several organizations, including South Arts, about resources that are available for your dance presenting work. We will have time to answer your questions. If you have a question, please use the chat or Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, and we will be sure to get to it at the end. Next slide. So now I'd like to welcome all of our speakers and have everyone introduce themselves. We'll begin with Sara.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Great. So this is Sara Nash from National Endowment for the Arts. I probably know many of you, but I'm happy to be connecting with you all in my new position here. I've been here for about 7 months at the endowment, and thank you to Nikki and Ethan and everyone at South Arts for letting me kind of jump in on this opportunity to say hello to everyone on the call and just remind you all that we want to hear from you. Our next artworks deadline, which I think many of you are probably familiar with, it's our main grant program. Our next deadline for that will be in July. And if any of you are applying then and you have questions about applying, or if you have different kinds of projects that you want to talk through with either myself or any of the dance specialists, just please be in touch. We definitely want to hear from you all and talk with you all as you are thinking about applying. And one plug that I want to do is just to remind people that there are a lot of different dance project types that you can apply to the endowment for. So whether that's convenings, whether it's restaging of historic works, touring, presentations, documentation and archives. There's just a lot of different project types that fall under the dance portfolio. So I just wanted to put that plug in there in case a different kind of project than what you typically come in for in the past might be of interest to you all. I also quickly wanted to say, and this is kind of a resource for us, but also a resource for you all in terms of potentially professional development or knowledge, is that we're always looking for panelists. So if you or anyone at your organization or anyone in your community would be interested in serving as a panelist for us, please be in touch with me, because we are always looking for that. And I'm going to keep it really short, but yeah, I'm happy to be on the call with you. Look forward to connecting with you all, and please be in touch with questions, with ideas, or if there's any kind of dance happenings or events in your community that we should know about.
Thank you. So I'll ask all of our other speakers to briefly introduce yourselves, and then we'll go into more specifics about your program. So you can follow the order on the screen, and I'll hand it over to Dance USA.
Hi, everyone. This is Kelly Aduse, Director of Member Services and Board Liaison from Dance USA, and it's my honor to represent Dance USA during today's webinar. And you will hear much more from me in a little bit.
Thank you. Pam?
It's Pam Tadji. I'm the director here at Jacob's Pillow in Beckett, Massachusetts. We are a summer festival as well as a year-round center for research and development.
Thank you. Stanlin?
Hi, everyone. I'm Stanlin Brevet, the Director of National Programs at the National Performance Network. We're based in New Orleans, Louisiana, and I'll tell you a little bit more about the organization during my section of the webinar. Thanks.
Great. Sherry?
Hi, this is Sherry Opperman, Grants Manager for Dance at the New England Foundation for the Arts National Dance Project. And just giving a shout out to our sister RAO, South Arts, for inviting us to be on this today. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. And again, I'm Nikki Estes. I manage many of the grant programs at South Arts and also our Dance Touring Initiative programs. Next slide. To begin, let's start with a very brief overview of South Arts and our new directions. Our new mission statement is Advancing Southern Vitality Through the Arts. As a regional arts organization, South Arts provides programs and services in these 9 states, but we also have national initiatives and a regional conference that have a broader reach beyond these states. Because of our new strategic planning goals, we strive to connect arts professionals in the South to resources. And so this is why we're hosting this webinar. South Arts knows that presenting dance can be challenging for many presenters. And like all of our guest speakers, we have a long-standing commitment to dance. We want to be sure that you and others are aware of the diverse resources and opportunities available specifically for dance. So next slide, please. Thank you. We already heard from Sara Nash at the National Endowment for the Arts, but if there was anything that you failed to mention, Sara, do you want to mention it now?
No, I promise I would keep this short and sweet. So just again, I'd love to hear from anybody after the conference call with additional questions or ideas, anything like that. So be in touch.
Thank you. Okay, we are going to turn it over to Dance USA.
Great, thank you. I'm gonna put my timer on. So it's Kelly Adousay again with you all from Dance USA. I have been asked to cover a lot of information in a short amount of time, so please feel free to reach out after today's webinar if you have any questions or if you would like to learn more about our core services or upcoming conference in Cleveland, Ohio, June 12th through 15. I can be reached at the email on the slide. Next slide. I will share with you all today background on Dance USA, information about our core services, and about Dance USA's annual conferences and what to expect in 2019. Next slide. Dance USA was founded in 1982 as the dance field's national membership organization for the nonprofit professional dance community. We serve hundreds of members, including dance companies, presenters, agents, service organizations, educators, and individuals. So it is a very diverse membership base from across the US and internationally. Of note regarding our dance company and artist members, we strive to serve a broad swath of genres from contemporary to percussive dance, to aerial, ballet, and much more. And I also just want to note that the Dance USA National Office is based in Washington, D.C., but we do have team members based in different parts of the country. Next slide. So being the nonprofit that we are, we have a 40-plus person National Board of Trustees comprised of working professionals in the field who all serve in administrative and artistic capacities. Next slide. Dance USA's work is shaped by the following guiding priorities: equity and justice, partnerships, technology, and financial sustainability. And our core values are creativity, connectivity, equity, and integrity. And I just want to uplift connectivity for a moment. Dance USA strives to be a catalytic network enlivened by connection, community, and collaboration. We value calling people in as a practice of leading, listening, learning, and deepening our impact. And I just want to take a moment to talk a bit about how diversity, equity, and inclusion and justice manifest in our organization. You know, it has been a societal conversation, and we have been doing our work both internally and externally with our members to ensure Dance USA is an organization that embodies the essence of these words. While it may seem to be in vogue, and I put that in air quotes, to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion right now, Dance USA is truly committed to embedding these core values into our organization. We started our journey in 2012, And as a team member who has seen the organization transform over that time and really grapple with these simple yet complex concepts, we are thoughtfully and intentionally doing the work to authentically embed them into every aspect of our organization. Next slide. Our core services are engagement, advocacy, research, and preservation. Next slide. We have a newly created archiving and preservation department with the mission of advancing the ability of diverse dance communities to safeguard and share their legacies, as well as to promote education and awareness of dance archiving practices, dance history, and scholarship. Next slide. Two of our offerings within this core service are the Artist Legacy Toolkit, which was on the prior slide, and one-on-one consultations on archiving projects within one's organization. The latter is one of our newest benefits. Next slide. Dance USA conducts research on the national professional dance field. Our research allows for fact-based dialogue and action on sustaining and advancing professional dance. Research is a long-standing initiative of Dance USA, and but at times we do focus our energies on new areas of inquiry in response to the needs and interests of our members. Next slide. Dance USA represents the interest of the national dance community before Congress, the White House, and federal agencies. We do have a registered lobbyist on our staff, who is our government affairs director, pictured there in the slide, Brandon Gride, who works in bipartisan coalitions with other national service organizations to strengthen all of our legislative asks to lawmakers. Some of those national service organizations are APAC, TCG, Opera America, and the League of American Orchestras. One of the most meaningful benefits that we offer our members under this core service is the planning and accompanying of members on Hill visits. This is an opportunity for our members to go on the Hill and speak with their legislators, sharing their personal stories as to why the arts, but most specifically dance, is important to them. Also, oftentimes during the O and P visa process, members and non-members reach out to Dance USA for a peer consultation letter. For our members, this letter is free, and for non-members, it is $150 per letter. Next slide. Okay, so engagement. This is my favorite core service, but I must admit I am very biased because it's the core service I interact with and support the most. Within this core service, we do have a number of benefits, one of them being our councils. Dance USA has 9 councils, which serve as a tool for us to connect people to people with a national scope, strengthening one's professional network and growing one's knowledge base. Our councils and the conversations that take place within are not considered a marketplace, but rather a place for vital networking, collegiality, and deep discussion on aspects of the day-to-day business of dance. And one of our councils is our Presenters Council. Currently, that council is comprised of over 40 presenting organizations across the US. Some are dance-only presenters, presenting arms of universities, large multidisciplinary presenters, and presenters whose work is rooted in community. Next slide. One of the outcomes of our member-to-member connections, so going back to that core value of connectivity, is most notably between our presenters and agents, managers, producers, promoters council, whom we affectionately call the AMP Council. They created a series of technical and standardization documents intended to provide a standard for touring contracts. The document package includes standardization document, a general tech writer, prototype, questionnaire for hotel, and a sample tour book. Our councils convene by phone throughout the member year and in person at our annual conferences. And again, those conversations are rooted in are not rooted in the getting business done, but rather talking about the business of dance. Next slide. Within the core service of engagement, we also offer our Institute for Leadership Training, which is a 9-month one-on-one mentorship program. We offer webinars focused on audience engagement from shared learnings from our Engaging Dance Audiences Regranting program, as well as the Wallace Foundation's Building Audiences for Sustainability initiative, of which Dance USA is a communications partner. Annually, we host a national dance forum in conjunction to the APAP conference and a regional dance forum in conjunction to one of the regional booking conferences. Next slide. Our annual conference is our largest convening that we host. Our conference is hosted in a different city every year in a campus-style format. So instead of being in a hotel all day, conference attendees are immersed in dance spaces of the community we are visiting. This year, we will be in Cleveland, Ohio, June 12 through 15. And some of the programmatic areas of this year's conference will be, next slide, please, the Me Too and legal issues for employers to create healthy work environments, an Undoing Racism workshop, which we've done for the past couple of years. And we will also have a session focused on building audiences for dance, as well as a session on digital marketing curated by Capacity Interactive. Next slide, please. Our conferences are also an opportunity for the local dance community to showcase itself through performances of local companies. So this year we will have a special showing of dancers with disabilities being organized by the Dancing Wheels Company. And our conferences are also a place where people are able to connect informally in conversation. Next slide. So that's a lot of information in a short amount of time. So please follow Dance USA on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. And again, please do feel free to reach out to me directly if you have any questions or want to learn more about our core services and upcoming conference in Cleveland. Next slide.
Thank you, Kelly. Perfect timing. So next slide, please. Thank you. So let's hear more about Jacob's Pillow and their work.
Great, thanks so much. So I really, first of all, want to just honor everybody in the webinar today, because we are all working so hard to sustain this field, and it's great to have such wonderful partners. Jacob's Pillow is the longest running dance festival in the United States and the only national landmark dedicated to dance. So if people haven't been there before, it's kind of important to make your pilgrimage because it is sacred ground for dance in this country. There are a number of ways for presenters to interact with the work that we do. First of all, we encourage attendance at the festival, and if we know that a presenter is coming, we first of all offer tickets, complimentary tickets to presenters, and can craft a sort of personalized day, which is an experience of all that we have to offer on site. But to ensure that we had a cohort of presenters from around the country coming each year, we reinstated something that had existed but had stopped for a while, and that is the National Dance Presenters Forum. Our key partners in that work is the New England Foundation for the Arts. This work, of course, supports the work of the National Dance Project, which is about touring dance around this country. The more enlightened and the more practices presenters have in presenting dance, the more successful that initiative will be. And our other partners are the Association of our other lead partner is the Association of Performing Arts Presenters. In addition, we have a very important funding from South Arts. South Arts has done a number of programs that have even been based here at the Pillow to support dance presenting, and we're just delighted to have a partnership with them, as well as Mid-Atlantic Arts and Dance USA, who all provide additional support to make this happen. So what is it? It's an immersive 5 days where presenters actually, this year's forum application deadline has passed. So if you weren't able to apply this year, we hope that you'll consider applying next year. It's just for 15 presenters who come here, see the work that we're doing. This summer, they'll have the opportunity to see Dance Theater of Harlem and Reggie Wilson Fist and Heel Productions work, and really learn to talk about dance, contextualize dance in the many ways that dance presenters need to do to engage audiences. So the agenda, first of all, it's highly focused on creating a network. These 15 people leave here having forged a bond where they can stay in touch with each other about work that they see, that they want to tell each other about. And when I heard about people who had done this forum in the past, it was that network, that ability to connect with other people and make lifelong colleagues that was one of the greatest takeaways of the forum. We also talk about critical issues facing the dance field and bring some top practitioners, thinkers in to talk with us. We talk about varied curatorial practices, from those that people are witnessing at the Pillow to any number of different types of dance organizations, nationally, small and large. We think about how to advocate for artists and support choreographic development. And we focus in on audience engagement strategies. Part of the partnership with Dance USA is to make sure that we get the high points of what's going on in the Engaging Dance Audiences program, so dance presenters can be aware of it. Just to give you a sense of who's going to be coming this summer to work with our presenters, Ali Rosa Salas from Abrams, Anna Glass from Dance Theater of Harlem, Madison Cairo, who was at Georgia Tech and is now in Oregon as the head of an arts council, Robin Anderson from Axis, Sean Dorsey, Reggie Wilson, who will be here, and then representatives from Dance USA, Amy Fitterer and Suzanne Callahan, to talk about engaging dance audiences. So that's that program. The network for me means that I also have 15 people around the country who can be colleagues of mine, who I can turn to and say, what's going on in your part of the country that I should know about? I really see this as the beginning of a dialogue between presenters and the work that we're doing at Jacob's Pillow. So I look forward to this group coming. This will be only our second year of doing it. The other thing I want to mention in terms of being a resource for dance presenters right away is our online archives. If you haven't been to Jacob's Pillow Dance Interactive, you must. There are many videos of works that have been here since the start of Jacob's Pillow. So if you're a researching artist, you're not familiar with their work, and you want to see a short clip, and some contextualizing information. We also have essays in dance. So there's a whole strand through the archives around women in dance, African-American artists, and we really invite people to use those essays as a way to familiarize themselves with the history of dance in this country. I think the last thing that I'll flag, because it is also new and I want to engage as many people as possible in it, is the College Partnership Program. We have, it's a membership organization for colleges and universities around the country who have a greater access online to our archives, including, for the first time in our history, access to full-length videos of dance works that have been presented at the prior year's festival. Right now, people teaching dance history don't have access to full-length videos. And thanks to agreements with our artists that these will only be used by educational institutions, we can make that available. And so I'd love to have any presenter who's affiliated with the university or a college know about that as well. So thanks so much for the opportunity to speak with you today.
Thank you. Next slide. We'll now hear from the National Performance Network.
Oh, all right. Good afternoon, everyone. Again, I'm Stanlyn from the National Performance Network. We are actually a 35-year-old service organization, as I said, based in New Orleans. Despite our name, we serve local, national, and international communities. And our services are extended to both performing and visual arts, artists, cultural organizations, community organizers, and activists. Next. So this is NPN's mission, and I just wanted to highlight it because over the past few years, we've been going through kind of a re-envisioning. Being a 35-year-old organization, we're having that midlife crisis. You know, part of what we do, I think we have, and I should say our network has been really leaders in diversity and inclusion, and we're really trying to look at the future and re-envision our whole organization, from our partnership to our programs, through a lens of equity, just given the time that we're living in, recognizing, you know, that we need to do more. So this is our mission: that NPN contributes to a more just and equitable world by building power for artists, advancing racial and cultural equity, fostering relationship building, and working towards systems change. Next slide. So these are our impact areas, and how we accomplish our mission in these impact areas is really through our programming and through our network. So we are first and foremost a network of organizations, the artists that are supported, and the communities that our partners are rooted in. We don't consider ourselves a membership, but really a network. As I said, some of the work that we're doing is really looking at the structure of the network and how to expand the network to include other organizations who we partner with. We do support collaboration, relationship building, and community engagement. But again, it's through our network of 72 partners in 42 cities around the country. Annually, we re-grant about $2 million and support thousands of artists. And core to accomplishing all of this is cultural policy and advocacy, which has been part of NPN since the day it was launched. Next slide. So quickly, I'm just going to touch on some programs. I know we don't have a lot of time, so I'm just going to do highlights, and I just encourage you to go to our website or reach out to me if you want more. One of our largest programs is our Creation Development Fund that really supports the creation, development, and touring of new artistic work that advances racial and cultural justice and results in a live exchange between artists and communities. Next slide. The structure of this program is a three-tiered structure. So artists receive funds at different, I should say artists and presenters receive funds at different phases of this fund. We do have an upcoming deadline on May 20th, so I just encourage you to look at the website for more information. So really, any organization can participate in the Creation Fund as a co-commissioner. Artists that apply can also be in any career stage, both performing and visual artists from the US and Mexico. Next slide. So as I said, our upcoming deadline will be on May 20th for projects premiering after 2020. The funds are really focused on the process of creation development, not necessarily the product, or although we do hope that the work, ends in a tour and that we see the work travel around the country. Funds are unrestricted, and it really promotes collaboration through the structure of the Creation Fund. So the Creation Fund is that there are two co-commissioning organizations who agree to contribute between $2,000 to $3,000 and present the work once the work has been completed. NPN matches that with $8,000, and then we also have additional allotments of funds to support the development of both the presenting commissioners and the artists and mobility. We recently did a webinar. I was telling Nikki, I feel like I've been in webinar after webinar, but if you want, it is recorded on our website. So again, I encourage you to go and look at that. One thing I should note is that we really prioritize projects by looking at representing a diverse range of artists and disciplines. So it's not the typical panel process, but really we want to ensure that the art and the work is reflective of the demographics of our country. Next slide. The Artist Engagement Fund is really one of our oldest programs, and it supports the, it actually supports artist fees for presenters to bring artists into their communities to have a public interaction, whether that be through community workshops or performance. And NPN subsidizes up to $5,000 of those funds. Next slide. Lane is our newest and our largest program, Leveraging a Network for Equity. It's a program that really came out of our network, recognizing that we were losing organizations of color over the past decade, and recognizing that this is really due to systemic issues, and that, you know, without all of the organizations that make up NPN, really the infrastructure of the performing arts is at risk. Those of you who are in the South and other areas, in rural areas, you probably also recognize that presenters, community organizations really are the infrastructure in many communities who support the cultivation of artists. So we are about 4 years into a multi-million-dollar, multi-year initiative that capitalizes organizations, creates a cohort that bring organizations together to really work towards creating a future targeted to their specific needs. Next slide. So the local network, as I said, we also support our local community. Being a national service organization, we also have found an opportunity to leverage our national relationships to support my hometown of New Orleans. And so we have a local network that kind of mirrors our national network. We provide service, fiscal sponsorships, not just locally, but nationally, and bring our local organizations together. And lastly, next slide, I'm just going to just highlight real quick our convenings. I should say our annual conference is the culmination of all the work that we do. It's a really fun, dynamic place to be. We actually support and provide subsidies for artists to attend the conference. We pay for artists to share their work at the conference. It's a 4-day extravaganza or bonanza, depending on how you look at it, of professional development, cultural policy discussions, and lots of opportunities to see work. So I just encourage you. We have many artists, partners, colleagues, funders, and we're also going to be convening a national funders forum at our upcoming annual conference, which will be in New Orleans, December 10th through the 13th. So please be there, and I'm not going to take up any more time. Next slide. But on this last slide is my contact information. I'm here all the time, so feel free to reach out and chat more. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to keep things moving along, and we will hear from New England Foundation for the Arts, specifically their National Dance Project.
Hi, this is Sherry again. I'm the grants manager for dance, and I wanted to just thank everyone who's gone before me. It helps me really see how much a part of the dance ecology that we really are in together. And I also just want to take a moment to thank our funders, the Doris Duke Charitable Foundation and the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation. Without their assistance, National Dance Project would not be in existence. So today we're going to focus on opportunities to support presenters and curators in bringing NDP-supported projects to their communities. Next slide. So the National Dance Project is now 23 years old. It was launched in 1996 to support the creation and touring of new dance works through grant making and other activity. And that other activity has grown to include professional development, travel fund, community engagement, and residency support. And since its inception, we have distributed more than $36 million in funding to support the dance field, of which close to 50% of that is through presentation grants, which I'm going to get to in a little bit. So just want to say, please visit our website at NEFA.org, and you can learn more about the entire organization of the New England Foundation for the Arts, and certainly the National Dance Project and more of its programs and services. Next slide, please. So the way we get to presentation grants is really through the production grant process. So annually, the National Dance Project awards 20 new projects a production grant. And these grants are made to professional choreographers and companies to support, again, the creation and the touring of a new dance work. This is multi-leveled support, and it includes up to $45,000 for the creation and production of the new work. About $10,000 additional funds are given for general operating support. And then there is this $35,000 that's reserved for each project for the touring of that work. And I also just wanted to say additionally, for presenters, piggybacking onto what Pam was saying, we are looking for presenters from all across the country and curators to serve on our NDP advisory panel, and as well as support artists in their communities through residencies, commissioning, or supporting their production proposal, because every artist does need a community partner or a presenting organization to be part of their proposal. So there's so many ways that you can actually help artists kind of get to this point where they're able to submit a competitive production grant application. Next slide, please. So once those 20 projects are granted, and that happens every summer, the artists are again awarded this $35,000 to help support the touring of that work. And so these touring funds are allocated to the artists, and they distribute those funds through the NDP presentation grant process. So each project has a designated tour coordinator. That might be an agent, the artists themselves, or their company manager. They're in charge of how that money is allocated. They work directly with the presenting or curators, organizations to determine the engagement, the dates, all of the different activities that might be taking place, and how much subsidy they will receive. They submit those tour plans to us, and there's 2 deadlines a year, one in March and one in October. And then once we receive those tour plans, we sort of officially invite the presenter to apply for a production grant. Next slide, please. Great. So these funds can go through these presentation grants to help subsidize the U.S. tour of the project. For us, the U.S. territories are included along with the 50 states. That includes Puerto Rico, Guam, the U.S. Virgin Islands, American Samoa, and the Northern Mariana Islands. They can use this. Now the artists have 2 years about to tour their work after they've created it, so the funding can get used anytime within that 24-month tour window. The allocation, which is what the grant is going to be, is to help offset artist fees. Sometimes the artist and the presenter agree on an all-inclusive fee, and sometimes that might be a fee as well as housing, per diem, travel, and ground transport, which can also get folded into, and that creates the total artistic fee. And the artist is allowed to offer up to 50% of the total artist fee. So, but we hope that they'll tour to at least 3 places within the U.S., but they get to decide how that happens. Again, they submit those plans to us, and then that funding is distributed as grants between the New England Foundation for the Arts and the presenting organization. It's paid directly to the presenting organization as a reimbursement following the engagement and after the organization has submitted and their final report. Next slide, please. So just again, you do need to be a nonprofit organization or a local state or government organization, an institute of higher ed, or a federally recognized Indian tribal government. However, the presenting organization does not have to be an arts or cultural organization. We find that some of, we have national parks coming in, community organizations. Sometimes it might be the science department at a university, you know, not necessarily the PAC or the dance program. So we find artists are really, their work and the content of their work is reaching other partners and other organizations outside of sort of traditional dance presenters. Next slide. Great. So just to recap, I guess we can, thank you. You need to be included on the tour coordinator's tour plan. And again, there's a March and October deadline. You need to complete a presentation grant application. And those are due, if it's a March deadline, those are due in April. If it's an October deadline, those are due in November. And you must present at least one public performance of the NDP supported project. Sometimes artists are able to present an excerpt, especially if the presenting organization maybe isn't able to do the full work, maybe due to space or other constraints, but it does need to be at least an excerpt of the NDP supported work. Next slide. Great. And I just threw this up here so you can kind of see how the calendar works. In March, I get tour plans. We invite the presenters to apply, and in April, those presentation grants are due. We send out the award letters in May, and then starting that June, performances can take place. Again, in October, we have the same calendar in terms of getting the tour plans. November, the presentation grants are due. December, the award letters go out, and then January, from then on, the touring can start to happen. Again, the production grants are announced in August, and together with the National Theater Project, we distribute an annual publication that has both programs, new grantees, as well as any artists who still have touring subsidy that they haven't spent yet. So that it's become quite a thick booklet, and we welcome you to look at those. They come out again at the end of August, and they're at all of the booking conferences. We'll have it on our website, and again, and actually now any project that still has touring support is available to be seen on our website. If you go to presentation grants, you can click on View Artists with Touring Support. And I encourage you to look at that often and see and have an early conversation with the tour coordinator. Artists sometimes are ready to tour their projects 6 months from receiving their production grant, and sometimes it's 2 years out. But if it's a project that you're interested in, kind of speaking with that tour coordinator early so that you can start working on those negotiations to get on that tour plan in order to receive an NDP presentation grant. Next slide. And then finally, we have a new program called the NDP Travel Grant. And this is a new opportunity to help presenters who want to see the work either closer to the time that it's premiering, or even when it's premiering, or as it's traveling around the country in order to see if it's going to work for your venue, your community. And it's a time to see the work live and to meet with the artists and try and figure out if it is appropriate for your venue. And then the other side of it is that the artist can come to your venue and you say prior to a presentation, maybe a few months out, especially if you were looking to for instance, if the company was going to use local dancers and they needed to have an audition or work with those local dancers beforehand, if they have community engagement activities, or if it's a production that's going to need sort of a pre-site visit to work things out. So it can bring the artist out to the venue, or the presenter can go and see the work prior to presenting it. If you are interested in that, please reach out to the tour coordinator and to NDP staff prior to submitting the application. And I just wanted to also give a shout out that we've had a couple of presenters who attended the Jacob's Pillow Dance Forum last summer, apply for a travel grant, see NDP supported work, and they are now going to bring that work to their venue. So really happy to see that circle connect. And next slide. Hello? Thanks. Thank you. So again, please contact me, Sherry, if you have any questions. You can also reach out to my colleague, Kristen Gregory, who's program officer for dance. And I didn't put her name up because she's just started, but I want to introduce you all to Indira Goodwine, who will be she is our new director of dance for NDP and at the New England Foundation for the Arts. And she will certainly be happy to answer and welcome connecting to her and asking her any questions. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Sherry, and everyone else that has shared information about your programs. I'd like to now spend a little bit of time sharing information about South Arts resources for dance. One way that we fulfill our mission and goals is by supporting the presenting and touring field, particularly through our grants program and our annual Performing Arts Exchange Conference. We partner with the National Endowment for the Arts and the state arts agencies in our 9-state region to deliver services and programs for the presenting community. But we also collaborate with many other organizations in our work. We have various grant programs, but these are the programs that are available for your work as dance presenters. And because of limited time, I can only provide a very brief overview of these programs, but encourage you, like all the other speakers today, to visit our website for more details and contact me with questions. Next. First, I want to talk about who and what we fund with our grant dollars. To apply for a grant, you must be a nonprofit or governmental organization located within our 9-state region. The project must include a public performance and an educational component. And because of our increased focus on supporting Southern artists, applicants must engage an artist that resides in our region, excluding your own state, meaning that a presenter in Georgia cannot apply for an artist in Georgia, but could apply for a grant to support an artist that resides in South Carolina. If you need assistance researching possible artists, we do have resources on our website to help. And please know that grant funds only support programs that are accessible to all, including individuals with disabilities, and our funds only support the artist fees and not any other project expenses. Next. The Performing Arts Training Program connects performing artists to constituents in Southern communities. The application deadline for the 1920 season just passed, so sorry about that, but our next deadline will likely be next March, and this will cover projects occurring July 1st of 2020 through June 30th of 2021. For dance projects, applicants can request 50% of the artist fee up to $7,500 max. This means that a 1-to-1 cash match is required. The grant program requires that the artist or company provide an educational component in addition to the performance. Also, please know that South Arts is beginning new work to work more deeply with the Southern dance communities, and so there will be additional opportunities and resources for you to work with these dance companies in the near future. The guidelines for 2021 season will be available in the fall. Next. Our traditional arts grant program supports the work to increase public awareness, understanding, and appreciation of the traditional arts in the South through funding projects which bring traditional artists, including dance ensembles, for multi-day residencies in Southern communities. This funding is open to a wide variety of organizations, including community cultural organizations, schools, colleges, or universities, libraries, museums, and presenters. South Art staff can also direct you to potential resources and networks to identify traditional artists and scholars or folklorists. The deadlines and guidelines for 1920 will be available soon, and this program is structured somewhat differently than the others. A scholar or folklorist must be involved, and the grant does not require a one-to-one cash match or nonprofit status. Fiscal agents are accepted. Applicants should contact Teresa Hollingsworth if you have questions. Next. The Express Grant Program offers more flexibility to presenters in smaller communities. We define those as communities with populations of 50,000 or less. Like the two other grant programs mentioned, the Express Grant Program requires the project to include a public performance and an educational component. However, we recognize that not all presenters have their artists confirmed a year in advance and may not be able to submit an application for our March deadline. So we accept applications year-round as long as the application is submitted at least 60 days prior to the project start date. This program is active until the available funding is depleted, so we encourage you to submit your application early. And I want to let you know that we are still accepting applications for projects that will be completed by this June. Applicants may request 50% of the artist fee, up to $2,000 max, and a one-to-one cash match is required. The guidelines for 1920 will be available in May. Next. We also offer grants to help presenters' capacity and their professional development needs. This program supports travel expenses for professional development. This includes participation at a workshop or conference, but also includes travel support for seeing live work. The program also supports travel expenses for dance company artistic directors to visit presenters for planning residencies and designing community residencies. This grant program supports new opportunities, meaning activities that your organization has not previously participated in. The grant covers travel expenses specifically for travel to a conference that your organization has never attended, travel to see live work, a performance or company that you're seriously considering for the upcoming season, or travel to support planning meetings with an artist. You can request 50% of the travel expenses, up to $1,000 max. So again, a one-to-one cash match is required. And for some practical examples, you can use this grant program to support travel to the Dance USA conference, the NPN conference, travel to see a performance by an NDP artist, or performances at Jacob's Pillow. Unfortunately, you cannot use this grant program to support travel to our conference, the Performing Arts Exchange, which I will talk about next. Next, thank you. I wanted just to take a minute to mention our annual conference, which serves the presenting and touring field. The Performing Arts Exchange brings together hundreds of presenters, artists, agents, and presenting and performing arts professionals for professional development sessions, artist showcases, business discussions around your presenting and programming season, and networking. We offer 3 days of professional development, and oftentimes we partner with organizations like the New England Foundation for the Arts and the National Endowment for the Arts to offer space and time to share information about their programs. And sometimes we collaborate with organizations like Dance USA to offer a mini version of their dance form at our conference. Dance showcases are typical, and presenters have the opportunity to talk with dance artists, agents, and managers in our marketplace. There is plenty of time to connect with your peers and other professionals about your work as a dance presenter at our conference. Next. So please visit our website for more specific guidelines and eligibility criteria for the grants, or more information about our conference or other programs. And also feel free to contact me if you have any questions. Next. So we have just a few minutes to answer any of your questions. If you do have a question, please use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen to type it in. And South Arts will read the question, but we ask that you please be specific about the organization or the program that you're referencing. We'll wait just a moment to see if any questions come in. Okay, next slide. Thank you all for participating in today's session. A sincere thanks to our guest speakers. I know that there was a lot of information that we shared, and we hope that you found the webinar worthwhile. Again, I will encourage you to reach out to the staff with any specific questions that you have. Thank you.
Oh, we do have a question for NPN now. The Creation and Development Fund deadline is May 20th, correct?
Correct, May 20th. And the guidelines is on our website, www.npnweb.org.
Thank you. Okay, I don't see any other questions. So with that, we will all say goodbye.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.